Today we get to talk about a special water heater, the RTGH-RH11. This water heater has a few specific things about it that make it a little unique. It's got a built-in circulating pump. You can use the circulating pump to circulate water internally. You can use it to circulate water through a dedicated return line, and you can also use the circulating pump to circulate through a bypass. This water heater can be common vented. This water heater can also be power vented. But keep in mind, we need 50 cubic feet of airspace, unoccupied airspace, per 1,000 BTU. So this is a 199,000 BTU water heater. We need about 4,000 cubic feet of airspace. That's a 20 by 20 by 10 foot room. That's pretty big. A garage, maybe, but if you park a bunch of cars in there, you might be occupying that airspace and it might not work. It's always best to direct vent these water heaters. We're going to pull in combustible air from outside, but you can power vent it if you meet the requirements. Moving on. This water heater works like many other tankless water heaters. It's got a heat exchanger. It heats it up, it heats the water, it spits it out hot. We all get that. This one has a primary and a secondary heat exchanger. Primary heat exchanger being on top with a down fire burner. It's firing downward, okay? And then it has a secondary heat exchanger. Interestingly enough, when the water flows through this unit, it goes through the secondary heat exchanger first, gets warm, then it goes through the primary, gets really hot, and then it comes out. So that's how this works. And this is a current generation that's out right now. Today we're going to focus on this guy here. Some areas of contention with this particular water heater, programming it. It does have an internal circulation system that works off of a calendar, so it wants to know what the day and what the time is. Programming that can take a couple of minutes. It usually requires some reading in the use and care manual. We're going to go through a few of these things today. Turning the water heater on is simple. Push your power button. Water heater will turn right on. And give you an error code 61 when the circulating pump comes on. This little triangle here says the circulating pump is kicked on. Error 61. We do not have any gas supplied to this unit. Unplug this and restart it. So this display will tell you almost everything when you're looking at it. It will tell you the time, it will tell you the day, temperature set point. This up here is a communication icon, so the unit is in a communicative state. Down here there's going to be a flame that'll kick on when the water heater is calling for some heat, and our triangle will light up when the circulating pump comes on. There's a vacation mode, there's an icon for that, as well as a recirculation timer icon. Can't see that there. Down here we'll hold your dates and times for your programming on your circulating pump. There's a high temperature warning. It's going to be right up here by the temperature setting, and it's an exclamation point. And there is a lock function on here, and it's got its own little icon with a little lock symbol. Let's start with how to adjust the time and the date on this guy. With the power on, hold this button down. That's the menu button. About 5 seconds or so, and it's going to go and it's going to default to AGA. We want to simply scroll to KTA right there. If you pass it up, you can't. That's the end of the road there. You can scroll back through the menu if you need to. KTA, this center dial for OK, and it's going to ask what year it is. Okay, well, 2022. We'll say OK. Month, scroll to your month and September. Great. Day, we'll say the 6th. And it'll ask what day of the week it is. Terrific Tuesday. There we go. Hour, what time is it? We'll go with 11, say, let's go to 11:16. And we're done. We'll just back out of that. And everything is set. Very simple. So to recap, power on, display on, menu button, about 5 seconds. All the way to the end, KTA, select, year, select, month, select, date, select, day, select, hour, select, minute, select, menu, you're done. That is as simple as it gets right there, setting the day and the time. Now we're going to change the set point of the water temperature. The default setting is 120. With the power on, if you want to adjust your temperature, press the little temperature button and then you can adjust it down or up. It's going to bounce around at 5-degree increments all the way up to 120, down to 100. Now if you want to go above 120, all you do is tap the button. You'll see the icon flash. Hold that button down. Okay, now we've got the icon for the high temperature warning and it sits at 125. We can go up at 5-degree increments to 140. Okay, if you go below the 125 back to 120, it just resets to the standard 100 to 120. Okay, well we want to go above 120, so we're going to hold this down again, and nothing happened. Okay, we're back here at the 120. We're going to hold the button down. 125, go up to 140, hit OK. That's the center button there, and it's set at 140. Now, if you just tap it, you see what happens. You go back down to the 120 mark, that's all you get. Every time you want to go above 120, you have to hold this down, and then you can go up. Hit OK. Temperature, 120. So say we set at 110, hit OK. When we go to 100, hit OK. We'll start at 120 and hit OK. Very simple. Okay, let's go into status mode and we'll go through the statuses and I'll tell you what those mean. Power on, excuse me, go ahead and hold the menu button. AGA is going to pop up and that is going to tell you it's in gallons. And you can, it'll either say ALI for liters or AGA for gallons. Turn the dial over. BFR, fan speed, current fan speed. Right now, we're at 0. If it were running, it would give us a reading and let us know what the fan speed is. CLC, lock mode. Lock mode is either on or off. And this will tell you that it happens to be off, or we can select on. We'll just leave it in off for now. DOP, operating temperature. So, follow me here. DEFH, okay? DEFH, these are temperatures. OP, so DOP, OP operating temperature. DH, domestic hot water temperature. EH, exhaust temperature. IN, inlet water temperature. When you access these, you can check the temperatures. If you're familiar with the standard water heater, this would be like checking your Y settings on the mid and high efficiency. These are just labeled differently here in the menu, okay? DEFH. So we'll DOP operating temperature. It looks like we're at 85, 85. There's no water flowing through this. Exhaust temperature 83, that's just ambient room temperature, and 84. So this water heater is not currently hooked up to anything. It's just reading the ambient temperature of whatever water is in there, and the air temperature in the exhaust. So very important right here, easy to access. Okay. Now, when we move past there, we're going to go to HIN, then to IRT. So this has a menu, a submenu. Hit that. It'll go to the PH, which is power on time. About half hour, maybe. RH, burner operating time. This is in 1,000-hour increments. This will be in 1,000-hour increments also. Okay, so 0. BNCY, burner cycles. 1,000 times unit is displayed, 0. It's a relatively new heater and it's been fired a couple of times, not very long. And PPHR, pump running time. So to access those again, here's PH for power on time, RH, burner operating time, BNCY, burner cycles, PPHR, pump running time. Now we can just back out of that. Go back to the IRT, and remember that's just one down from the water inlet temperature. It's got its own submenu. JAG, adjusts AGM position. Ranges from positive or negative 50, just defaults to 0 here. And remember KTA for selecting your date and time is last on the menu. Run through those one more time. Gallons, fan speed, lock mode. Then we're going to check our temperatures. DOP operating, EDH domestic hot water outlet temperature, FEH exhaust temperature, HIN inlet water temperature. IRT has the submenu. JAG is the adjustable gallons per minute. KTA is adjusting your date and time. And when you're done, back out of that and you're back at your standby screen. Okay, installer mode. Installer mode is going to give you a lot of access to a lot of information. To access installer mode, water heater off. With the water heater off, press and hold the menu button. Okay, here we are. 1EH. This is the error history. Error code 61, 29, 16. Okay, we have 11, 39, 11, 72. We've done all sorts of tests with this water heater and made it angry a few times to give us some codes. Interestingly, it takes a little while for this water heater to code out. If we do something like unplug something or plug something up like the intake or the exhaust, it'll try several times before it just gets angry and throws that code. All right, so we've checked our error history. Let's go back and we'll see what else we can access here. 2CE, clean error and system initialize. All right. EH15 is the error history. RH, burn hour. Burn cycle for BNCY. Pump running time. System initialize. Some of this information is redundant from the other access. The status mode menu, we'll go back out of here. We're still in 2CE. 3FC. 3FC will let you choose between liters and Celsius, gallons and Fahrenheit. We're going to stick with gallons. 4FH, maximum fan speed. You can adjust the maximum fan speed. 5FL, minimum fan speed. You can select or adjust that if you need to. 6RC is an important one. This is one you'll be using. This is to tell the internal circulating pump what you would like it to do. We'll select. Right now it's defaulted to off. We'll turn it to on. Okay, once you have it on, once you have your pump recirculation on, you can move to 7RM. This will tell the heater what recirculation mode you want to be in. 6RC must be on to access this. Right now it is in bypass. The bypass is a bypass that will be installed on your plumbing at the furthest fixture. If you do not have a dedicated return line, you can start at the top here. So, internal recirculation. This will allow the water heater to recirculate internally, keep it warm, keep the heat exchanger warm. Go down to external. This is external recirculation. This means that you have a dedicated return line and you're going to be circulating through that dedicated return line. Still uses the internal pump. Title 24 and bypass. So you're going to select your application. Now this heater, when we do tests, we use the bypass, so we'll leave it on bypass. All right, moving on from 7RM. 8RT, recirculation temperatures. You can select high or low. High 1, high 2. select the temperature you'd like it set at. 9HT hot water temperature. And we can also select low, high 1, high 2. 10 IV temporarily disables the water heater from ignition for a set period of time, range 0 to 20 minutes. 11 H8 high elevation mode. This water heater may be installed at elevations up to 10,000 feet and operate on either natural or LP. You need to order the water heater for your particular application. Select the appropriate installation location and 02 sea level to 2,000 feet, 25, 2,000 to 5,000 feet, 58, 5,000 to 8,000 feet, 810, 8,000 to 10,000 feet. The default is going to be 02. All right. Now we're at 12 CN. That is Cascade, enables Cascade mode for multiple water heaters. Let's see, let's turn Cascade on so that we can access 13 EH for common venting. We can select that and let it know if we're common venting or not. We'll say no. And we're going to go back to 12 CN for Cascade. We do not use multiple units on this particular water heater, so we'll bypass that. 14 T1 test mode. Used to test the water heater when operating in internal recirculation mode only. And then 15 T2 is used to purge air from the water heater system with an external recirculation pump. And here's the deal with the external recirculation pump. You might be asking, well, if we have one internally, why would we need one externally? If you're using an external pump, it is because you're requiring more power on your circulation system, meaning you've got longer distances. We're limited on the feet limit listed in the use and care manual of about 200 feet of total half-inch pipe and I think 500 on 3/4. Now, if you need to circulate through more than that and you're using the internal pump, it is likely that you may start to get an overheat code. If you have several bypasses in your system, more than one, if you have two, that could easily exceed the listed amount of feet length of pipe that this water heater will circulate through, and it'll throw that overheat code. Okay, you can bypass that by using an external pump with an aquastat or a timer. Go into your menu setting, go to 6RC and turn that off. And then you can set your external pump up, start circulating, have that on the timer of the aquastat, and it'll operate just like it would on a normal water heater. Okay, and that is the installer mode. That's all there is to that. Okay, let's talk about programming the circulation pump and the timer. Press the little timer button and it'll come to ACT. Okay, we have Pro 9 allows the installer to customize the recirculation function. This is straight out of the use and care manual. You can select the day and time for your pump to run. Or you can go into auto. This is a smart learn system. It'll recognize the pattern of water usage. It's going to run all the time for about 7 days. So set it on auto and forget it. Let it run through. Figure out when you're going to need water, and it'll set up a program based on your water needs. Very easy, very user-friendly. And from the main menu here, CLR, this will reset to factory settings. So again, from your standby screen, press the timer button, hit the ACT, and you can go into Pro 9 and set up your own schedule. Or go ahead and go into auto, hit select. And then down here on set, that's going to be your Pro 9 setting, right? You can change between days. And we can select our days that we want the pump to run. Maybe we don't want it running on the weekends. We just want to do Monday through Friday. Easy enough. So here we have Tuesday and Friday. We can hold this button down and we can tell it what time we want it to start 2 p.m. Back out of there by holding that down. Okay. So setting the timer is pretty simple. If you do have questions, review your use and care manual. This will come with the water heater. It's also available online. If you cannot find your copy, you can go online and simply scroll through that and figure out whatever settings you might need. Let's take a look inside of this water heater. Now there's 4 screws that hold this outer shell on, and it hangs there. So when you take your screws out, you'll just kind of pull out on the bottom, lift up, and it'll come right out. Okay, behind the power control board and this plate, this is the water sensor right down here. Water leaks inside of the unit, internal leak, condensation, vent leak, whatever the case may be, water's getting in here somehow. It'll pool right here and connect and close this circuit and throw the code. So to check this, you almost need to remove this power control board and that plate, and then you can get a really good look back there. Now I have this power control board loose. You can remove the screws and move the power control board out of the way, and then this panel as well. All right, and that'll open up a lot of goodies. There is an on and off switch inside of the case. Pump, selectable 1, 2, and 3. Default is 3. So let's talk about how this works here. Here's your water inlet. Water will come in here and it will go up and it will start getting warm through the secondary heat exchanger. Remember, this is a down fire burner, okay? So we're going to do the secondary heat exchanger. Then we're going to come up to the primary. Water will get hot and it'll exit right down through there and out. When it's circulating, it's coming up through this copper pipe and it follows the same route. If you've got your bypass, it'll circulate up and through the cold. If you've got your dedicated return line, it's going to use this dedicated spot right over here. This is your water bypass. Condensate will drip down through here and collect in here, fill up, and then drip down out through your condensate drain line. If this gets dirty, clogged up, or whatever it may be, you can access from underneath and clean that right out. Just keep in mind some gross slimy water may come out of there, so have a bucket handy to catch that. Moving up through here, you have an air pressure switch, gas control valve, blower motor, air intake that's horned at the end, presumably to help with any noise. This will regulate airflow as the water heater is running. Optical sensor, sight glass. Up here you have your transformer, or I call it a coil. It's going to deliver spark to your igniters. There's 2 of them. You can test these by holding a wire off and out towards some metal. When I did that, it did shock me. There are 2 igniters. If one has failed and one is getting spark, it will still work. Some thermistor wires. The thermistor back there. Somewhat easy to access with a long screwdriver. Sensor here. Thermistor. And the outlet thermistor back there. Not very easy to access, but accessible nonetheless. Our inlet water thermistor here, very easy to access. Now if you're troubleshooting this water heater and everything is checking out, follow your troubleshooting steps. And if you have to replace this control board, you're going to remove it, unplug all of these wires. You get your new control board, you'll plug those back in. They only go in one spot, so it is hard to mess up. Make sure you have good positive plug in, nice and tight, good connection. and you're good to go. This power control board also has 2 fuses up here. They're easy to check without removing. You can use a flashlight if you need to. Pretty much it for the inside of this water heater. Very simple, easy to follow, and relatively easy to troubleshoot. Just follow your troubleshooting steps and you should be okay.